All right, guys, sorry about that. Thank you. I'm glad Murphy didn't see that. This way. Yeah, you guys know the way. Come on. Good girl, May May. Good girl. Okay, sorry. We were interrupted by a phone call. So hopefully I'll be able to splice these two videos together. Otherwise, you're getting a part one and a part two. Zoomies have commenced again. Oh, jeez, May. I always find it hilarious when they like stop and get distracted by a smell. Now I'm distracted by a dog. Sorry, guys. I know this is scintillating. Some scintillating photo there. Okay. So I was talking about, what was I talking about? Advocating for your dog. How a lot of it is very physical. Like, dogs are very physical creatures, right? They communicate for the most part through like body language and touch. Not so much sound. Like if you have a noisy dog, that's less about communication and more about other things. But when you do advocate for your dog, it's very important to have some element of physicality to it as well. So, for example, when I'm out on walk, and I think I've told most of you guys what happened this day, but maybe a couple months ago, I don't know, several weeks ago, we were walking here and we ran into a very unpleasant individual who would not leash his dog and would not keep her away from the pack. And I have a very strict, like, I don't let other people's dogs come see the pack. And that's purely because, like, I don't know this person. I don't know their dog. I don't know if their dog has some sort of illness that they can pass on. What I do know is the dogs in my pack typically have been rehabbed for something. Like, Phoebe is a flight risk. When she gets scared, and she does get scared of strange dogs, she will just bolt. That's obviously not something I want to happen. Rosie does have a history of being reactive on leash, so obviously I want to prevent any sort of bad interaction on leash for her. May's fine. Have no problems with May. Murphy, though, if he thinks any one of the dogs in his pack are uncomfortable, or he thinks I'm uncomfortable, he's going to try and handle the situation. Like, that's just the way he is, and I don't want him to do that. Like, that's my job, not his job. I'm trying to remember the other dogs I had that day. I think I had basically everybody. I had about 8. And anyway, my modus operandi when I'm approaching someone that has dogs is I leash everybody up. We move to one side. The person oncoming typically, Rosie, don't you dare. I saw that. Yeah, serves you right. Typically people will leash their dogs. We walk by each other. We say good morning, nice day, all that stuff. We pass on by. As soon as we're enough distance away, I let mine off. Typically the other person lets theirs off, and it's like, it's not a big thing. This situation was not that. This situation was the guy's dog was a good 50 meters ahead of him. Like, there's no way he has any sort of control over his dog. She was approaching in a very edging on aggressive, so like very stiff body language. Her tail was up way too far. Her ears were way too far forward. So I leashed them all. I put them behind me. And because I sort of had an idea that this guy was going to be like this, I made sure that I brought an umbrella with me just in case. And you're like, why would you bring an umbrella with you? That seems silly. I'm going to tell you why. So, as they approach, I see her body language. I'm like, that's a hard no from me. I drop the leashes and I tell everyone to stay. And I walk out in front of them. I ask him to recall his dog because I'm going to be absolutely truthful. I honestly don't care if he leashes his dog or not. That's not my issue. Like, I think anyone who wants to walk their dog off leash absolutely should. with the caveat being you need to have control. So if you have your dog off leash and you're approaching someone who has their dog on leash, or just for good manners, like you call your dog back, you put them in a heel. I mean, I typically put a leash on when he's in a heeler, not more to signal to the other person that I've got my dog under control than Murphy really needs a leash. But even if you just call them back in a heel, we pass by, we both continue on our walks, right? So I ask him to recall her a couple times. He's not saying anything, and I'm like, okay. So I step out in front, I look her dead in the eye, and I say, no, go, which in 9 out of 10 dogs is enough. Like, if you say it with enough conviction and enough get away from me body language, most dogs will just go. Like, honestly, they're just curious, they just want to see. I kind of figured that wouldn't work in this case, just given her very forward body language. And of course she didn't even move, she just kept approaching. So I put the umbrella in front of me and I opened it in her face. And that's when the guy decided to get involved, because he was under the assumption that I was beating his animal. When what I was actually doing was A, the sound of an umbrella startles a dog, and sometimes that's enough, and B, oftentimes cutting the sight lines will be enough to sort of resolve the situation. And that's when things sort of declined, because the guy started screaming at me. But his dog was not allowed anywhere near my dog. Rosie, out of it. Good girl. Good. Go. Okay, yes, that was yes. The thing about training these guys is oftentimes they're like, oh, I did a good thing. You know what that means? It's like, yes, that's fair. Hold on. There we go. Okay, go away. Go away now. And like, I want you guys to know that I will 100% always advocate for your dogs when they're with me. Like, that I consider a safety thing. So the only dogs occasionally I'll walk with another walker's pack, because we're familiar with each other and we all know our dogs and we know to watch for whatever situations. But generally speaking, if it's just some stranger that I don't know, I absolutely will not let them near the dogs. So having an umbrella, especially if you have a nervous dog, is definitely kind of a cheat code for advocating for your dog. And also, like, I hear about these stories lately in Riverrain Park about dogs being attacked and dogs being killed, and a lot of it is just that people don't know what to do. One of the worst things you can do is pick up your dog. I know if you have a small dog, it seems like an excellent solution, but 9 times out of 10, in that case, what you're going to do is have that dog start jumping on you to get to the dog. So, generally speaking, it's a better idea to just put your body between your dog and the problem. And that could be anything. That could be like an oncoming dog, oncoming person, oncoming weird obstacle. Just anything you can do to make them feel safe so that they don't think they have to get involved with the situation. Ooh, zoomies again. Another thing I tend to do is have a walking stick for the same reason. Like, anything that can increase my reach and make sure that I can stay far enough away that I'm not in danger. So I typically walk with either an umbrella, like I am today, but that's mostly because it was supposed to rain. So far no. But I have my umbrella just in case. When I don't have my umbrella, I have my walking stick. And those, unfortunately, are just because I do walk on public land. And it's a safety thing for me. It's also convenient. Like, we do see coyotes every once in a while, so it's a good thing to have anything that'll startle them away from us. There are other things you can carry too. I forget what it's called, but you can get it on Amazon, and it's basically like a dog pepper spray. And you can carry that around with you. Anything you have on hand to throw at that dog, So if there's a dog approaching, you're not liking the situation, you've done all the, like, you've stood in front of your dog, you've told that other dog no and it's still coming. If you have a hat, a roll of poop bags, anything to sort of throw at that dog, like, you basically just want to show a reaction that's making it very clear that you want that other dog to go away. All of those things can help, and all of those things are advocating for your dog. I will give like a pro tip that another trainer out in Nova Scotia posted a while ago, and I thought it was a genius idea, and I was so sad I never thought about it myself. But if your dog's on leash and the dog is approaching and you've called out to that person to control their dog, I will tend to say control instead of leash, or call your dog please instead of leash your dog. I don't know why, but you tell people to leash their dogs, and apparently that's insulting to some people. But so you've done all these things, still not working. Just yell out that your dog's contagious and see how fast those people try to call their dog back. Now, it's not going to help if they have no control. Oh, you get that fly, Rosie. It's not going to help if they have no control over their dog. Let's be real. But at least it gets them doing something to try to mitigate the situation. And yes, it's ridiculous that you have to use something like "my dog is contagious" to get people to back off, but it works. It 100% works. And yeah, I think that's everything. I mean, I'm sure there's more. At some point I may do a advocate for your dog workshop, because I think more people need to know, especially when they're not comfortable in situations and their dogs aren't comfortable in situations, to have these skills in their back pocket is helpful. And keep in mind, like, I have had dogs for years and years and years, and with Mac was attacked several times within 1 year, and he just started being unreliable with other dogs and reactive. And so I am well versed in telling people to get away from my dog. I've been called every name under the sun, and I have been in some sticky situations. Unfortunately, that's the way people are. But you have to keep in mind that protecting your dog and protecting yourself is way more important. Like, people don't have the right to your dog. They don't have the right to pet your dog. They don't have the right to be in your personal space if you don't want them there. So, yeah. The end of that was a little ranty. I'm sorry about that. Anyway, so I think that's enough for me. I think we're way over time here. Like, way, way over time. It's definitely going to have to be a two-parter. But I hope you guys are having a good day, even though we had sort of a more serious topic today. And we're approaching the car, so I have to start our car routine. Good girl. So, bye from Rosie, Phoebe, May, and Murphy, who's trucking along. He does not like this sun business. And we'll talk to you all soon. Cheers.